Vergil wants to fight everybody, and Erickson Lubin is our next guy, and we'll be ready for him. We're definitely going to be in great shape. He's already in camp. He's been training for a couple of weeks already, and we still got plenty of time left.
Not been in easy has Erickson Lubin pretty much for a vast majority of his, especially his second half of his career. But once again, he's facing one of the toughest guys in the division.
So you're just trading one monster for another monster, but it's a more known monster.
The eight for two great 154 fights on the zone, then we're done. Let's make sure that by the time Vergil Ortiz wins, we're in the ring with him, announcing that fight.
Boxing is a sport built on timing, momentum, and matchups. When a fight gets announced, fans don't just look at records. They study the details, the styles, the whispers behind training camps, and the subtle storylines that shape the showdown. That's exactly the case with Vergil Ortiz Jr. versus Erickson Lubin, a fight buzzing with intrigue. Promoter Eddie Hearn has made it clear. He wants that fight lined up for February, and both camps are moving in full force. But what does this mean for Ortiz, the young powerhouse returning with high expectations? And what does it mean for Lubin, the dangerous southpaw who has been overlooked far too many times?
Things, how are you? Yeah, things are great, man. I'm doing great. Camp is going well. We've been in camp maybe like 2-3 weeks already, which is a little longer than usual. But we got a big fight ahead. We want to make sure we're prepared. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just staying sharp, conditioning as well.
Vergil Ortiz begins by reassuring fans and observers that his camp is running smoothly. He talks about being in training camp for 2 to 3 weeks already, which is slightly longer than his usual preparation window, and emphasizes the importance of sharpening conditioning, staying focused, and fine-tuning the smaller details.
Really, right now, we're fine-tuning things right now. We're really making sure that the chinks in the armor are as small as possible. Yeah, it's not hard to manage it at all. We've incorporated recovery and all that stuff, sleep well and all that. So
Ortiz follows up by saying that the focus now is on fine-tuning the details, making sure that the chinks in the armor are as small as possible. That phrase carries weight. It shows he's aware of vulnerabilities and is actively addressing them. Every fighter has flaws, but admitting to them and building a camp around minimizing those flaws is what separates contenders from champions. He also emphasizes recovery, sleep, and balance, which suggests that Ortiz's camp has evolved into a more scientific, well-rounded approach. This isn't just about brute force anymore. Ortiz is treating his body like the weapon it is, sharpening it carefully.
During the year, it's been announced Vergil Ortiz versus
Lubin.
Big fight. Great fight. Stylistic little southpaw against a very tough. The thoughts on that fight?
Good fight, yeah. I hope he wins. I think he will. I think he's a favourite going into the fight, but it's a good fight.
When asked about the fight, Eddie Hearn keeps it straightforward. He calls it a good fight, admits he hopes Ortiz wins, and labels him the favorite. That promoter language might sound ordinary, but it's layered. Hearn is balancing excitement with expectation. By saying it's a good fight, he acknowledges that Lubin is no pushover. By calling Ortiz the favorite, he puts pressure on his fighter while also selling the bout as competitive. Promoters know the value of perception, and Hearn is painting the picture of Ortiz as the young star who should win, but who must prove himself against a dangerous veteran.
Now, both guys, obviously we have Lima, who might not have the profile of Lubin, but is just as good, just as tough as Eric. The eight for two great 154 fights on the zone, then we're done. Let's make sure that by the time Vergil Ortiz wins, we're in the ring with him, announcing that fight.
Hearn then outlines his broader plan. Ortiz is lined up for February, with the Lubin fight acting as the springboard. He mentions other names and cards, but the central point is clear. If Ortiz wins, they want to immediately capitalize on the momentum by announcing the next step. This is typical promoter strategy, but it also reveals the high-risk nature of this fight. They're already planning for the aftermath. That's how confident they are in Ortiz's abilities. But here's the flip side. This is exactly the type of scenario where an upset can derail the entire timeline. Lubin has nothing to lose and everything to gain. For Ortiz, this is a must-win. For Lubin, this is a chance to hijack the script and become the man who ruined the promoter's master plan. That dynamic often fuels dangerous performances. Lubin isn't just fighting Ortiz, he's fighting for recognition, relevance, and to prove that he's not just another name. If Ortiz slips even slightly, Lubin has the chance to flip Hearn's February storyline on its head. In other words, Hearn's confidence creates pressure for Ortiz and freedom for Lubin. And in boxing, freedom is often where upsets are born.
I think that's great. People count Erickson Lubin out. I don't count him out, man. I think it's a great fight, man. And if Erickson Lubin does what he's supposed to be doing, I think he can edge the fight, man. You know what I mean? I think he can. I think he.
Bozy Ennis, one of the most respected trainers in boxing today, provides an important reminder to the fight community. Do not count Erickson Lubin out. He stresses that while many people are overlooking Lubin, he doesn't see it that way. Instead, he sees a fight that is very competitive, very dangerous, and one that can swing in Lubin's favor if things go right. His perspective is critical because Ennis is not a promoter trying to sell tickets, nor is he a casual observer hyping for attention. He's a trainer who has worked with fighters at the highest level. When a trainer of his caliber says that Lubin can edge the fight if he does everything right, it carries weight.
You know what I mean? If I was Lubin, you know, I would get into that type of, you know what I mean, war with him, you know what I mean, be smart, you know what I mean? I would box him. Lubin is a good boxer, man. I would box him, give him angles, don't stay in front. You know what I mean? See, most of them guys, you know, they gotta plant their feet to throw their punches.
In his follow-up, Ennis takes his analysis further by providing what is essentially the blueprint for how Lubin can maximize his chances. He warns against getting into a war with Ortiz, a slugfest that would almost certainly favor the younger, stronger fighter. Instead, Ennis emphasizes that Lubin needs to box, use his skills, give angles, and avoid standing directly in front of Ortiz. This is sharp advice because Ortiz's style is built around planting his feet and throwing power combinations. If Lubin fights a stationary fight, Ortiz will find openings and likely break him down.
So you move on and you say, okay, if I'm going to take, I guess from the Erickson Lubin perspective, he's saying, if I'm going to take a big chance here, you know, okay, I may not have a championship, but Vergil Ortiz is obviously taking a big risk. He's one of the hottest prospects in the sport. I say contender. I wouldn't even call him a prospect at this point. One of the hottest contenders in the sport, especially in the West, rising star. But at least I'm going to get credit for it if I fight him, you know, win or lose, you know, the calculated risk starts to matter more. And I think that's the reason for the Lubin fight.
Paulie Malignaggi, a former world champion and sharp analyst, gives us another angle to consider: risk versus reward. He frames the fight from Lubin's perspective. Lubin might not be fighting for a world championship, but taking on someone like Ortiz is still a huge risk. Win or lose, Lubin earns credibility. But if he wins, he changes his entire career trajectory overnight. The other key point Paulie makes is about how dangerous Ortiz himself is. He acknowledges that Ortiz is taking a risk as well, because if Lubin beats him, it derails his rise.
It's a more recognizable name as far as opposition is concerned for Lubin to fight. And obviously, for me, my opinion is just as big a risk. My opinion, for me, the three most dangerous guys at 154, which is a weight class that I saw a ton of danger. So you're just trading one monster for another monster, but it's a more known monster.
Paulie Malignaggi lays it out with brutal honesty. For Lubin, this isn't about choosing an easy road. At 154, there are no easy roads. Paulie points out that Lubin is simply trading one monster for another. The division is stacked with dangerous names, and Ortiz just happens to be one of the most recognizable. That makes this fight valuable. It's risk against risk, danger against danger. But with Ortiz, it's a known danger, and that kind of recognition matters when building legacy.
Have that kind of crossroads as a fighter. It's like, all right, do I take the lesser money, lesser profile for a chance to be a world champion because he's fighting for Matazaliyev's title, or do you take the bigger profile fight with the bigger paycheck attached where you fight a guy like Ortiz? So obviously we got our answer. We went to the bigger profile route, which I don't blame. Like the champ, you said, he's not a spring chicken, even though he's only 29.
Chris Algieri takes it further, framing Lubin's decision as a classic crossroad moment. Do you chase the world title against a lesser-known champion for less money, or do you step into the fire with a star like Vergil Ortiz, where the paycheck is bigger, the spotlight is brighter, but the danger is higher? For Lubin, the answer was clear. At 29, he's no rookie anymore. Time is moving fast, and calculated risks are the only way forward. Algieri respects the choice, and so do we.
But if you still look at Erickson Lubin, he still has a really good record. His only two losses are to Charlo and to Fundora, and Fundora is the current unified champion. And I believe his last 4 fights, the records are 75-3-2. Not been in easy has Erickson Lubin pretty much for a vast majority of his, especially his second half of his career. But once again, he's facing one of the toughest guys in the division.
Algieri also reminds everyone that Lubin's record still holds weight. 2 losses, yes, but both to elite fighters, Charlo and Fundora. And Fundora, let's not forget, is the unified champion today. Lubin hasn't taken shortcuts. His last 4 opponents combined for an impressive 75 wins, just 3 losses and 2 draws. That's no soft path. Every fight in recent years has been a war. Facing Ortiz is just the next brutal chapter.
Good name, good fighter that some people might think, he's not in that level anymore. He already had his time has already passed. Like you guys are saying, he's only 29 and he lost to two great fighters also. So he's gonna be a great challenge. We're gonna have to be very well prepared. Hopefully there's no injuries, no nothing for both camps, and we put up a great fight.
Coach Robert Garcia respects what Lubin brings. He pushes back on the narrative that Lubin's time has passed. At only 29, he's still in his prime. And while critics might count him out, Garcia knows better. Ortiz's camp isn't underestimating anything. They're preparing for a serious challenge. Both camps, Garcia hopes, stay healthy and ready, because this fight, as he sees it, has the makings of a real battle.
It's prepared for anything at 154. He wants all the challenges, obviously different promoters, different TV networks and stuff like that might be the reason why a lot of those fights don't happen. But Vergil wants to fight everybody, and Erickson Lubin is our next guy, and we'll be ready for him. We're definitely going to be in great shape. He's already in camp. He's been training for a couple of weeks already, and we still got plenty of time left.
Garcia closes by giving insight into Ortiz himself. Vergil wants all the smoke at 154. He's not ducking names, not hiding behind promoters or networks. The reality of boxing politics might stop some fights from happening, but the desire is there. Right now, the next man up is Erickson Lubin. Ortiz is already deep into camp, already sharpening for war. This is the mindset of a fighter who isn't looking for easy nights. He's chasing greatness. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because here at Bushy Hub, we bring you the stories behind the gloves.